this is Russ. What, you don't recognize me with my glasses on? Yeah, what does that tell you? Well, you know, I had to stop wearing my glasses because the diabetes messed up my eyesight. The fact that I have my glasses back on, what does that tell you? The diabetes is getting better. Yeah, I could actually see with my glasses again. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's really close. So I'm thinking probably maybe by the end of the week, I should be back to the way my vision was before all this all started. So yeah, that's good news, right? Watch on Monday for health updates. But I needed to say this because the glasses are on and you see it. Okay, so there you go. Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays will be e-bike videos. So as you're watching this thing, it'll be coming out on Thursday for you. So the last video I talked about, I asked for questions about things that we should discuss. And some of you guys gave me some questions, and some of you guys just went on to other things. So I think the biggest question that was asked, and I've covered this before, but I'll cover it one more time here, is the difference between a 20-inch wheel bike and a 26-inch wheel bike. A couple questions came in asking for clarity on that, benefits, pros, cons, that kind of thing, and which bike should I buy, all right? One gentleman asked for clarification on which bike would be best for him, since he says he rides mostly hilly areas and needs a little bit of help in making decisions. So let's talk a little bit about those things, okay? So between the 20-inch and 26-inch bike, obviously you sit higher on a 26-inch bike. The wheels are taller, right? So you're physically going to be taller up on the bike. And the 20-inch bike, of course, being shorter, you're lower to the ground. Okay, that's the obvious thing. And I think most of these people are asking between a 20-inch by 4-inch tire and a 26 by 4-inch tire bikes, so fat tire bikes. Now, here's the thing. Quickly, here's the generalization of them all. The 20-inch bikes tend to be a little more nimble, meaning you can move and maneuver and steering and things like that, moving around obstacles a little bit easier, I think, with the 20-inch bike. The 26-inch wheel bike, you're taller up there, your center of gravity is a little higher, it's not as nimble. Okay, so if you're going down a straight path, I don't think it really matters one way or the other in that regard. But if you're turning a lot of curves and a lot of whatever's, the 20-inch bike might be a little easier to maneuver. Okay, that's one thing. Another thing you have to consider too is many times 20-inch wheel bikes weigh less than the 26-inch wheel bikes because the frames are bigger on a 26-inch bike than a 20-inch bike. Now, that's a generalization, but it's not always the case, all right? Because we've seen 20-inch wheel bikes that are just as heavy, if not even heavier sometimes, than some 26-inch wheel bikes, all right? So it's just the in general, but not always, all right? So, I mean, if everything was equal, let's say that, the 20-inch bike probably would be less weight than the 26-inch wheel bike, but not always. Many times it isn't, all right? All right, what else would be an advantage or disadvantage of these things? Well, some people don't like the fact of being on a 20-inch bike. I mean, even my wife prefers a larger wheel bike if she had an option, all right? And she's not that tall. She's only like 5'5". So some people prefer a larger size bike versus the smaller ones. She kind of feels that the 20-inch bikes looks like a little kid's bike sometimes. And that's true. If you're riding certain 20-inch bikes that are like folding bikes with that tall handlebar stem, you know what I'm talking about, right? They kind of look like a kid's bike sometimes. But if it's a folding bike, you kind of need that because then it folds down and it makes it compact and makes it easier. Well, okay, let me say about compact. It's not always compact either, okay? Because sometimes when you fold that stuff up, it's very big, very heavy, not that easy to put into the car, that type of thing too. So, but there are 20-inch wheel bikes that are not folding bikes. For instance, the Magicycle Deer there's a 20-inch step-through version. That's not a folding bike, but it is a 20-inch wheel bike, all right? So the matter of torque came up too. In general, 20-inch wheel bikes have more torque than a 26-inch wheel bike. It's just a matter of the way it is. But it's not always the case, okay? Because you could find that you can't say all 20-inch wheel bikes have more torque than all 26-inch bikes. That doesn't work out that way, okay? Because there's a lot of things like motor, what kind of motor they have in the back and all that stuff too. But you know, if you had to say everything being equal, which one's going to probably have a little more torque getting over it? It would be the 20-inch bike, all right? So if you're going over hills, because the other gentleman had hills to contend with, and I think he said he didn't have the greatest knee going on either, which bike should he get? So my suggestion to him was get a bike that has decent torque, first off, because you're going over hills, all right? You don't want any, I would say if you have at least 85 Newton meters of torque, you have a chance of getting over the hills. If not, you're going to be pedaling hard to try to get over that hills. All right, depending on how steep the hill is. But I'm assuming he's got rather steep hills, otherwise he wouldn't mention the hills, right? So you want something, I would say, at least 85 Newton meters. The higher the better. The number being higher the better. If you have a 92, that's better than your 85, right? So take a look at the torque setting, or the torque's specifications. Make sure you have one that has a higher number. That would be good for hills, all right? So you have to kind of look at what you like to do. If you like a larger bike, interesting, like I said, Mrs. Wright likes the larger bike, then that consider the 26-inch bike, knowing full well that certain things around it could be issues if you don't like, if you don't like being taller up on the bike, then obviously that could be an issue. So you have to look at what issues are a concern to you and then weigh those factors. So he asked me which bikes would I recommend. I told him look at the Magicycles, and the reason is because I know pretty much throughout that entire line, most of those bikes are at least 85 Newton meters or higher. All right. So no matter which one he chose, just shooting him towards that brand gave him a better chance to maybe get through those hills better. So, and that's not to say that they're the only company. There's other companies that have products that will also do that as well. All right. Then you have to look too is how fast you want to go, all that kind of stuff too. So, but that doesn't really factor into the question. The question really was, what's the major factor differences between a 20-inch and a 26-inch? So there you go. I think that covers pretty much most of the things that would be a difference between the two sizes of wheel sizes of the bikes. So, all right, what else do we have to talk about today? Well, let me mention something that not quite just e-bike related, but it's also kind of health related too. Just the other day, I was exercising on my exercise bike. I have a recumbent exercise bike by Schwinn that I've been working on because of my health issues and, just kind of keeping my knees moving, my legs moving, get some exercise going, right? I think I tweaked my left leg again, my knee, the one that has the replaced knee, because I am now feeling a little bit of pain, or I should say a little bit more than a little bit of pain on my left knee. It's not on the knee, it's on the back. It's almost like on the ligaments or something. So I don't notice it. I'm moving my leg around as I'm talking to you here. I don't notice it until I start sitting down on a chair. I guess the motion of sitting down and bending your knee, it kind of stiffens up and kind of hurts a little bit. So I don't know what I tweaked. I'm just hoping that it goes away after a couple of days. I don't think it's actually the knee itself. It's actually it's like the I forgot what they call it, IT band. I can't remember. It's on the side. I think it's that thing that's causing the problem. So maybe it needs just a little bit of rest. But I hope I hope by the time riding season comes, I don't have a problem with it, because I need to pedal, right? I need to pedal more this year, and if I've hurt my knee again, it's going to make it tough to pedal. So be careful as you exercise before getting out on your e-bikes. I mean, I wasn't even on the e-bike, and I have an issue now with the knee. So that's another health issue I have going on. But that's the original issue. I mean, that's what started this whole channel, was my knee replacement issue. Now we got the issue going on again. This has been a tough year for me for health issues. I definitely feel my age. Yeah. Anyway, what else? Okay. One more thing I wanted to cover is I mentioned before that I made agreements for a couple of bikes to come in. So we got at least 2 bikes coming in, as I mentioned, and I had a chance to talk to the manufacturer of one of them, and they're sending us 2 of their bikes. Yeah, they're sending me a step through and a step over version of that bike in 2 different colors. One for Mrs. Wright and one for me. I was actually taken back by that. I said, wow, really? You're going to send me 2 of the same bike? And they said, yeah, we want you to see both of them and get your opinions of it. And, so you can show the different colors and the like. So, yeah. So those 2 will be coming in. And they asked, how quickly I might be able to do the review of the bike. But, of course, I also mentioned, too, if it snows, forget it. And if it's cold, forget it. It's not going to happen. So I told them as soon as 50 degrees or higher comes around, that's when I will be able to go out to do it. And the same thing for the other bike. I told them the same thing too. If it snows, forget it. And it's got to be at least 50 degrees or I'm not heading out there. So anyway, those are coming in. I'm excited about that. I saw photos of the 2 different bike. Well, technically 3 now. I mean, one is the same bike, but a step over. Well, it's not actually a step over. It's kind of a mid-step. But in my mind, that's a step over. and then, of course, the other ones are step-through designs. Yeah, I'm kind of excited because I seen the photos of the bike. They look pretty good. I think you guys are gonna be interested in seeing what these bikes are. So I tell you more, but I'm sworn to secrecy. I can't tell you anything more. But they're coming. Okay, one of them's coming, I think, at the end of February. The other one might be coming either at the end of March or early April. So those are for sure bikes that are coming in for reviews. So we'll see something coming through. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Hopefully you are too. Now, other things that are happening, have I been getting other offers for bikes? I have been turning them all down. Some of the bikes still kind of look the same. I mean, there's no difference on some of them. I really start thinking, is it just one factory making these things and everybody is just slapping their name on them or what? Because they all kind of look the same. And so to me, yeah, it's a different brand. You can show different things, but that, if it was me, okay, if it was me and I was looking at buying a bike today and I saw 6, 7, 8 bikes that looked identical with different names on them, I'd probably go with the one that I'm most familiar with or have heard more of. So maybe this is the reason why they want more representation out there to show the bike. So, more channels show it, then maybe people will want to buy it. So I don't know. It makes you wonder. And I also saw, even just today, another, this is for standard regular bikes, that one, I think he was a retailer as well, that I think he was mentioning something like Giant bikes are going into Dick's Sporting Goods, and they were all kind of upset about that because, again, Giant is a large manufacturer of bike frames for other manufacturers. I mean, they make their own brand, but they also make it for other people. But he was saying something to the effect that, if Giant is going into a big box store, he called it, then it is going to affect the small retailers who sell specific type higher quality bikes. And these are standard bikes I'm talking about. I'm not talking e-bikes here. And so so they got me thinking a little bit. I says, well, what about e-bikes? Are they going into the big name brand stores and stuff? Yeah, they are. I mean, even Best Buy is selling products. I mean, I think we mentioned before that which company was it? Segway, right? Segway is going to be putting their new bike in Best Buy. Okay, now I don't know of any other place that sells the Segway bikes, but it's a brand name. Everyone knows the name Segway. They made arrangements with the big box store. How does that affect everything else? All right. Other companies, Rad Power Bikes. All right, let's talk about them. They opened their own stores. But now I see announcements from them saying, hey, we made an arrangement with another bike store where you can go there and test ride your bikes. Well, if you're going to test ride over there, you'll probably order your bike from them as well, right? But again, you can order online from Rad or you can buy through that store, right? Other companies do the same thing, right? You can go into the e-bike store and buy that brand, or you can buy it through online directly from the manufacturer. So this is something that I keep thinking about, and the reason is because I mentioned a long time ago our family owned a stereo store. This is back in the late 70s, early 80s, during the time when hi-fi equipment was big stuff, right? So we owned a store, and we also kind of worried about stuff like that, where some of the brands that we carried might be carried by the larger stores. And that kind of negated, why do you come to a specialty shop to buy it, whereas you can just go to other stores to buy the same brand. But the guy mentioned that, Giant is going into Best Buy. He says, but I think maybe they'll put in their lower priced models at Best Buy. And then maybe the higher priced models will still be sold by the specialty stores. I don't know whether e-bike companies will do that or not, because typically an e-bike is pretty expensive to start with, right? And I don't know whether, companies would say, let's go into the mass market stores and put our e-bikes there and then just sell the more expensive stuff ourselves or through higher end e-bike specialty stores. I don't know what will happen, but just seeing Giant make that move, going to not Best Buy, going to Dick's Sporting Goods, it kind of concerned him, and I just kind of thought, is that the wave of what e-bikes will do too? All right, one last thing too. There's always one last thing. Our subscriber John had sent me an article that was written about, I guess, California is thinking of regulating e-bikes for people under, I think it was under 18, if I'm not mistaken, 16 or 18, something like that. Definitely under 12 years old. They have certain things that they're going to require people to get some type of licensing or some type of certification to be able to ride an e-bike. Now, he sent it to me. I read the article kind of really quickly, so I don't know 100% of all of it, but I'm actually okay with that. All right. Now, some people will say, well, that's regulations, I don't like it. But, we're talking little kids and maybe high schoolers or whatever that may not even have the ability to drive a car yet. They don't have, the understanding of the rules of the road. If you're giving them e-bikes, I think they need some type of education how to properly ride and what's the safety rules of the road and things like that. So I'm actually okay with that particular type of regulation. And seeing that happen in California doesn't surprise me, because I've seen a lot of videos where kids, come out like, they're almost like in a gang of these e-bikes, and they're riding down the road and taking over the whole road, and these are people who obviously, are older than that. They should have better, they should know better, right? That they shouldn't just be taking over the entire road and, stopping traffic as they're riding down as a group. So I kept thinking about it. I says, those type of videos that we see on the internet of them doing that is going to cause regulation, and that's where we're seeing it now. So, and I think because it happens a lot, and a lot of these videos I've seen came from people out in California, that's why I can see that regulation is happening. So the behavior of how you ride does affect the ability of maybe governments asking for some type of regulation going on. So personally, for this particular thing, I'm kind of okay with it. Now, for somebody my age, somebody who's been driving for a while, do we need that kind of regulation? Probably not. I would be against something like that. But I think just getting that education in a kid's mind of here's what's safe, here's what's not safe, here's what you should do, here's what you should not do. I think that's a good idea. Put a comment on your comments about that, all right? This is kind of controversial, because I know some of you guys have said, I don't like any kind of regulation. Well, if it's going to keep everybody safe, I'm okay with that. But, again, like I said, if you're a driver already, you've gotten a driver's license and everything like that, I think, I don't think we need additional regulations. We know what the rules of the road are for driving a car. And I think, as a bike rider, if you're riding the streets, you have to follow those things. Now, you may say, well, yeah, you're the guy that doesn't stop at the stop signs. That's true. But I do slow down, and then I look, and if there's nobody there, I go through. But if there are cars there, if there's people there, I do stop. And you've seen that in my videos, okay? But I'm not a crazy rider where I'm like riding really fast and totally in a group of people and trying to take over the entire road. I'm not like that, that. All I'm saying is that being safe is a good thing, and I try myself to be safe. But if nobody's around, you know, I don't fully stop at the stop signs, as you know. So controversial, I know. Anyways, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you think about this whole regulation thing. Don't talk about me. We all know about that. Tell me what you think about the thing out in California, where they're thinking about putting some type of thing for the kids where they have to go through some type of education or whatever they plan to do. I'll talk to you guys next time.